CJ Abrams was demoted by the Nationals this weekend. Let's discuss on Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. Welcome into FBT in 5 on Monday, September 23rd. I am Frank Stampfl, joined by Chris Towers, and lots of news this weekend. The biggest coming from the Nationals as they optioned CJ Abrams to the minors. And yes, he's having a bad second half, but this seemed a little extreme. It turns out that he stayed out at a casino until 8 a.m. when the Nationals had a game at 1 p.m., so like 5 hours later that day. So this is pretty shocking news here, Chris. I mean, I don't know how much it changes their outlook on him long term, but it was a little alarming at the time.
Yeah, it's sort of unknowable, and I guess depends on how CJ Abrams responds. But, given that this was so extreme, to put a finer point on it, the AAA season ended today on Sunday, and he got sent down on Saturday. So it's not like there was much time. I think he's going to the team's minor league facility in Florida after this. And so it really does seem, it makes you wonder, one, has this been like a recurring issue for them and they reached a breaking point? Was it a one-time thing and they just want to, emphasize that, hey, that we expect a certain level of professionalism for you? I think those are questions that we will hopefully have some answers for in the off season. Clearly still an incredibly talented player, still had a very good fantasy season overall, even if, it was a little up and down and mostly down later on. But yeah, as far as your future looking perspective on CJ Abrams, you have to hope that, the team thinks that he can still be a big part of their future and, he's willing to put in whatever work they want to move forward. But it's just a weird situation. It's kind of, I can't think of many similar situations across sports.
Yeah. Some possible replacements if you were depending on CJ Abrams as your starting shortstop. Tommy Edman is on Scott's sleeper hitters list for this week. Mason Wynn has good matchups. The Cardinals play 3 games in Coors Field. Further down the list, you have Trevor Story, who's hit well since returning to the Red Sox. And if you were depending on Abrams for speed, I think Jose Caballero could be a replacement there.
Yep.
Some other injuries. Yordan Alvarez left Sunday with a right knee contusion and will undergo imaging. It's tough to say because the Astros have pretty much locked up a playoff spot here. What do you think about starter sitting Yordan Alvarez?
Well, and you also think about the whole Kyle Tucker situation and the poor communications with regards to that. And I think, didn't Chas McCormick have a similar situation where he was originally diagnosed with a bruise and it turned out to be a fracture recently? I don't think that's what's happening here, but given Yordan Alvarez's history with knee injuries and the fact that they don't have a ton to play for, it wouldn't surprise me at all if they just decide to take it easy with him, give him a couple extra days off, even if it's not serious. So yeah, it's I would lean towards a sit here, but it's a tough call for sure because Yordan Alvarez is the kind of player who could hit 4 home runs in 4 games.
Yeah. Francisco Lindor, kind of similar situation. He went through a full series of baseball activities on Saturday, but he is not expected to play until Tuesday against the Braves if he's ready to go for that game. And that's a huge series between the Mets and the Braves, who are both battling for a wild card spot. Chris, if you have or had Lindor on a team, what would you do with him this week?
I think the main thing is get him out of your IL spot so you can start him if he's active on Tuesday, and make sure that if you add someone, it's not someone from the Cubs, Phillies, Red Sox, Blue Jays, Mariners, Astros, Giants, or Diamondbacks. Because those are the 8 teams that play on Monday night. Just check the schedule. Make sure that you're not locking someone into a lineup spot on Monday or locking them into a bench spot in case Lindor is not activated on Tuesday. Make sure you have an alternative ready. But if he is active on Tuesday, I think you have to play him.
And last news item from the weekend, Rafael Devers' season is over after he was placed in the IL with left shoulder inflammation. He will not require off-season surgery, which is good news for his 2025 value. But if you are looking for replacements, I'll throw a few names your way here, Chris. Would you rather Michael Busch or Connor Norby this week?
I think I would go with Michael Busch.
And if you're in deeper leagues, would you rather go with Otto Lopez or Jose Tena?
All right. So I think Abrams getting sent down locks in playing time for Tena. So I think I would lean his way. It's very close. I am the Marlins fan wearing a Marlins hat against the Marlins player in both instances.
Yeah, I'd probably go with Busch, and I think I've been a little bit more impressed by Otto Lopez so far.
That's fair.
I would go with him as a replacement there. For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to the Fantasy Baseball Today podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5, and we will be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.